Hello and welcome back to Simplimath. I'm Reshu, your maths teacher. I have a bachelor's and a master's degree in mathematics, and here I'm helping you cover every concept, every example, every question from every exercise. So when you subscribe to the channel, you get access to all this knowledge, which will help you prepare for exams better. In this video, we are discussing question 6 from exercise 3.1, and question 6 says given the linear equation 2x plus 3y minus 8 equal to 0, write another linear equation in two variables such that the geometrical representation of the pair of linear equations so formed is intersecting lines, and second part is parallel lines, and third part is coincident lines. Alright, so now we know when we are given a pair of linear equations in the form a1x plus b1y plus c1 equal to 0 and a2x plus b2y plus c2 equal to 0, the lines are parallel if this condition is satisfied, they intersect if this is satisfied, and they coincide if this condition is satisfied. So when we are talking about intersecting lines, so we have to see that a1 by a2 is not equal to b1 by b2 for a pair of linear equations which are a1x plus b1y plus c1 equal to 0 and a2x plus b2y plus c2 equal to 0. Now, if the given equation, if we compare it to a1x plus b1y plus c1 equal to 0, then what would be the second equation? The second equation would be in this form, right? Such that a1 by a2 is not equal to b1 by b2. Now we know that a1 equals to 2, b1 equals to 3, and c1 equals to minus 8. Now, if we assume any value of a2, let us assume a value of a2 to be 2. So what do we get? a1 by a2 is 2 by 2, which is equal to 1. Now we have to assume a value of b2 such that a1 by a2 is not equal to b1 by b2. Now for example, if we take b2 as 3, so what do we get b1 by b2? We get 3 from here and 3 from here, 3 by 3, which is equal to 1. But in this case, a1 by a2 is 1 and b1 by b2 is 1. So a1 by a2 equals to b1 by b2, right? Which should not be the case, right? We have to assume a value of b2 such that a1 by a2 is not equal to b1 by b2. So let us assume a value of b2 such that b1 by b2 is not equal to b1 by b2 is not equal to 1. So b1 by b2 is equal to 1 only and only when b2 equals to 3. So we will assume any other value of b2 other than 3. So let us assume the value of b2 as, for say, 2. So what do we get b1 by b2? We get 3 by 2, right? And let us assume a value of C2 to be suppose minus 6. So what do we get C1 by C2? We get minus 8 by minus 6, which is equals to 4 by 3. So this is A1 by A2, this is B1 by B2, and this is C1 by C2. So from here I can say that A1 by A2 is not equal to B1 by B2, and this happens when the pair of linear equations are intersecting at one point, right? So in the question we had to find another linear equation in two variables such that pair of linear equations become intersecting lines. Now that we have satisfied the given conditions, we know the value of A2, B2 and C2. So from here, if we put the values of A2, B2 and C2 over here, we get the required linear equation. So let us put the values. A2 is 2, so we get 2x plus b2 is 2, 2y and c2 is minus 6 equal to 0. So this is the linear equation, and the given linear equation was this. So this pair of linear equation are intersecting lines. Now in part 2 we have to find a linear equation such that this and the other linear equation become parallel lines. Now we know that the equations are parallel if a1 by a2 equals to b1 by b2 is not equal to c1 by c2. So we have to make this condition. Alright. Now the given linear equation in two variables is this, and if we compare it to a1x plus b1y plus c1 equal to 0, then the another linear equation would be a2x plus b2y plus c2 equal to 0. This is the other linear equation. Now we put the values of a2, b2 and c2 such that this condition is satisfied. Now from here a1 equals to 2, b1 equals to 3 and c1 equals to minus 8, right? Now let a2 be 2. So what do we get a1 by a2? We get 2 by 2 equals to 1, right? Now the condition is that a1 by a2 equals to b1 by b2. So since a1 by a2 equals to 1, so b1 by b2 should be equal to 1. Now b1 we know is 3. So this would become 3 by b2 which is equal to 1. So b2 should be 3. So we assume b2 to be 3, then only b1 by b2 equals to 3 by 3 which is equals to 1, right? Now this should not be equal to c1 by c2. That means c1 by c2 should not be equal to 1 because a1 by a2 equals to 1 and b1 by b2 equals to 1. So c1 by c2 should not be equal to 1. Now c1 is minus 8. So here we have minus 8 by c2 is not equal to 1. So c2 is not equal to minus 8. So we can assume any value of c2 other than minus 8. So let us assume the value of c2 to be, let's say 2. So c1 by c2 is minus 8 by 2 which is equals to minus 4. So we have a1 by a2 equals to b1 by b2 is not equal to c1 by c2. So the condition of parallel lines is satisfied over here. So now we have A2, B2 and C2, and we knew that this was our linear equation. So if we put these values in this equation, what equation do we have? We have 2x plus 3y plus 2 equal to 0. So this equation and this equation are parallel. Why? Because this condition is satisfied. Now in the third part we have to find a linear equation which is coincident to this linear equation. So when the lines are coincident, this condition is satisfied, that is a1 by a2 equals to b1 by b2 equals to c1 by c2, right? Now we are given this equation. Now when we compare this equation to a1x plus b1y plus c1 equal to 0, and let other equation be a2x plus b2y plus c2 equal to 0, right? Now from here we can say that a1 equals to 2, b1 equals to 3 and c1 equals to minus 8. Now let us assume a2 equals to, let's say, 4. So what do we get a1 by a2? We get 2 by 4 which is equal to 1 by 2. Now we know that a1 by a2 equals to b1 by b2 equal to c1 by c2. So all of these should be equal to half, right? So b1 by b2 should be equal to 1 by 2. Now b1 is 3. So 3 by b2 equals to 1 by 2. So this implies b2 equals to 6. So we assume b2 equal to 6 over here. Only then b1 by b2 equals to 3 by 6 equal to 1 by 2. Now similarly c1 by c2 should be equal to half and c1 is minus 8. So we get c2 equals to minus 16, right? Only then c1 by c2 equals to half. So this condition a1 by a2 equal to b1 by b2 equal to c1 by c2 is satisfied over here, right? Now, if we put the values of a2, b2 and c2 from here into this equation, we get the desired linear equation which is coincident to this line, right? So the desired linear equation is 4x plus 6y minus 16 equal to 0. So this is the linear equation that we need, which is coincident to the given linear equation. So this is how you have to proceed with such questions in the exam. If you have any queries, leave them down in the comment section below. And if you like the video, share the video with your friends and subscribe to the channel.